Welcome back everyone to our playthrough of the career mode here in NASCAR Heat 2. So something sort of dawned on me after our last race at Daytona. Now yes, we came away with the victory and all of that, so that part of it was good, but then something dawned on me. You know, part of the fun that I was having during that race was trying to keep Junior out front, and my plan was to try to pass him at the very end of the race and try to get us a 1-2 finish by pulling away from 3rd, 4th, and 5th and everybody else behind us. But something dawned on me. It's like, you know what? I wonder how that affected our relationship. I wonder how the rivalry system might have come into play there. So let's take a quick look, and you'll notice that Junior is now neutral toward us. Now, the developers went through a lot of effort to make sure that the bump drafting and whatnot that happens at the plate tracks just on a regular basis didn't cause instant rivals. So in one race, you couldn't go from somebody being friendly to just an absolute rival just by the bump drafting and normal contact. But I notice here that Junior is neutral toward us. Now granted, we did bump draft him multiple times during that race for several laps. But it is interesting to see that, yes, it does have an effect and a negative effect toward our relationship. Now, this isn't something I'm going to worry about, of course, but I did find that it was noteworthy to point out that just keep that in mind. So if you've got somebody who is friendly that you're beating and banging on during a cup race trying to get to the front, then they'll probably move up a notch or two toward neutral, or who knows exactly how far they'll go, but it shouldn't be all that bad. But now if you've got somebody who's already neutral and you keep beating and banging on them, it could get up to the rival stage. So that's just something that I wanted to point out, just something to keep in mind as we move forward, and also something that you may have seen in your own playthroughs if you're following along. Let's take a quick look at the schedule. The standings, really, we can go in there, but there's really not a whole lot to see there. The standings here are essentially what we did at Daytona, since that was the first and only race so far of the season. The big thing, of course, is that we get our first win, and that in all likelihood will lock us into the playoffs. But so it's nice to get that out of the way, but at the same time, we've still got a lot of work that we want to get done before the playoffs arrive, that's for sure. All right, so let's go take a look at the schedule. Of course, Atlanta is the second race of the season. Then we move on to Vegas, yet another 1.5 mile track. And then we go to Phoenix. Now, of course, anything that even resembles a short track, I automatically love it. But Atlanta is a track that I really, really enjoy. A little bit less in this game than I have in most. And simply because Atlanta is known in real life for having at least 3, sometimes 4 groups, depending on how you run it. And the very top of the racetrack is generally where most people will run as the race goes on and as the tires get slick. That's why running a day race at Atlanta is such a huge deal, because the more heat you get on the track, the more slippery it gets, and that means less grip and more guys moving around the track. But of course, if you've noticed how Harvick runs the track, and what has been very successful in recent times is they run the very bottom, right down around the white line. Of course, you don't really have to worry so much about all that stuff here in the game because you don't have all the different characteristics of the asphalt. But I love this track in real life, and I'm extremely happy that they held off on reworking the asphalt and repaving everything after the last race in 2000, or the only race in 2017, which was originally the plan. So as long as they can keep that old asphalt, the better I'm going to like it, because if it's anything like Michigan, it'll ruin it whenever they put the new asphalt on it. But that's enough of my commentary on the track itself. I'm very passionate about these tracks because generally the older they get, the better the racing they have, the more bumpy they get, the less grip, all those wonderful things that equal great racing. So the longer we can keep that older asphalt, absolutely the better. So I'm happy to be going to Atlanta. I do absolutely love the track. Like I said, a little bit less so here in the game than in real life, but this should be a lot of fun. This will be our first opportunity to continue on with our science experiment. We did quite well in the Xfinity series, and I hope to continue on our science experiment and try to just see where some adjustments, some different types of setups can land us in the finishing order. As long as we are having fun and we're able to fight for positions, then I'm good with that, whether that is fighting for 20th or fighting for the lead. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and head to Atlanta. Before we get the race started, let's take a quick look at the setup itself. And this will look very familiar too. We're going to start off very similar to what we ended last year with in the Xfinity series, and just keep this this whole thing rolling with our science project. One change that I did make in this setup is the front springs, and that is simply an adjustment based on just how bumpy it is at this racetrack if you run around the very bottom. So softening those front springs will reduce some of the chatter that wants to knock all your fillings loose in your teeth. So hopefully that'll help out a little bit with that. Although I did not adjust the shocks for the bumps in this case, because I don't want us to get the perfect amount of grip here. So I'm trying to keep things a little bit difficult for us, but while still helping the ride quality a little bit. So other than that, everything looks pretty similar to what we've been using in the past. Let's go ahead and get this race started. All right, green flag. We are underway here at Atlanta. So it looks like we'll be running 42 laps here in this race. As I mentioned briefly when we were talking about the setup, no practice laps for me, no qualifying, no any of that. So this is the first time I've been on the track, and I do not want to be on the high side right now. All right, well, I'm trying to get down to the bottom, but there's somebody under me. But going through the corners on the high side is not a problem. When it becomes a problem is when you get to this part of the track. The AI don't really know how to get through this part of the track, so that quad oval gives them lots of trouble. And if you're on the high side, that usually means they're going to put you in the wall. So we're trying to make up as many spots as we can on the bottom, at least for now. Look at that. Man, that's a wad of cars in front of us. Wow. I definitely don't want to be on the outside of that bunch. We're going to just sort of creep our way into this and see where we've got room to make passes. Again, the focus here is going to be to try to get runs off the corner and beat them from the center of the corner off and try to work our way up through the pack that way. If we can do that, that's the safest way to make passes against the AI. Still not safe, but it's the safest way anyway. Oh, somebody tapped me. All right, so far so good. All right, 38 car. I'm not going to try to get in the middle of 3 wide there, so I will not take the bait and try to pass you on the high side. At least not now anyway. He's hugging that bottom pretty good. All right, not bad. We're up to 26th right now. Remember, we got 42 laps, so no reason to try to force anything really. Except for the fun of it, of course. All right, right now he's not giving me a whole lot of room. There we go. Looks like he's going to make just enough opening for us. There we go. Woo, watch out there. Jim McMurray wanted to give us a little room, then he decided to take it back. Too late. You can hear me lifting way early going into these corners. Trying to give these guys as much room as I can within reason while I'm still attempting to get into position to pass them. All right, Danica looks like she's going to give us some room on the bottom. There we go. So we're almost through this particular pack of cars, which would get us very close to the top 15. Most importantly, it would get us a little bit of clear track in front of Ryan Blaney so we can actually see what kind of car we've got. Ouch! Okay, he's going to try to drop kick us out of the way there. Gotta love those broadside hits. All right, finally, a little bit of clear track. We're running 17th And we got 34 laps to go, so we got a long way to go in this race. Let's see if we can get down on the bottom and really push it hard. Now the car wants to slide up on me. All right, now that we've sort of gotten away from that 2 and 3 wide stuff, we can sort of venture out and see what the high side's got for us. Maybe we can make some passes up here. There's one pass on a teammate. All right, so far, so good up here on the high side. That's 2 passes out of the way, and that gets us to the top 15. Yeah, I'm liking this second groove. This is by far the easiest groove to run at this track. You can get down there on the bottom and make a lot of speed. You just have to keep in mind that it is bumpy down there, and if you're not prepared for that and don't have the car set up for it, that you can get yourself in trouble, get yourself sideways, or you can get yourself really tight and headed toward the outside wall. All right, here's some more congestion up here. Again, I'm not too keen on taking it 3 wide to the outside, so I think I'll just back off a little bit, try to tuck in behind the 43 for now. Again, just trying to be patient. No reason to, you know, this isn't the last race of the year for a championship, so no reason to press our luck here. We're just trying to make passes as we get to them. This is a good opportunity to work on racecraft. As I've mentioned in previous videos, driving a race car fast is one thing. Being able to run around a lot of other cars on the track, have the patience and the wherewithal to set them up for passes when you're faster than them is a whole other thing. Look at there. See, they're getting way out of the gas in the corner. Looks like they're trying to get 3 wide up here. I would bet against that. So really working that gas pedal a lot. I haven't really used the brake very much. A little bit on corner entry just to try to stay off of some of these guys when they slow down a little bit more than I'm expecting. But for the most part, not using any brake. Although I definitely don't want to dissuade anybody from using the brake. The brake can be a nice tool to help the car to turn. All right, so somehow we got our way through all that mess. Now we're into the top 10. 14 laps in, so we still got plenty of laps left. 28 more laps. Let's see if we can get down to the bottom again. Again, I can keep it down there if I need to, but just not all that comfortable down there. Again, we could make a few changes, mostly to the shocks, and I feel like we would be able to breeze through that section a lot better. But for now, the high side is feeling good, and we're able to pass cars up here. So I'm going to use that probably as much as anything. All right, here's teammate Junior. Let's see what Junior's doing. He's neutral toward us, so we're going to try to stay off of him at this track. Try to give him a little bit of room. He's fighting back a little bit on the bottom, but you can tell we're definitely much faster than him. That puts us up into 7th with 26 laps to go. And so a top 5 finish is right in front of us with these 2 cars that are fighting for positions, but I definitely expect us to get into some lap traffic before too terribly long. I'm sure the leader is probably already in lap traffic, because this is generally about how long it takes before the leaders start to come up on the lap traffic in this game. Somewhere around 20 laps, give or take. Alright, so we've caught these guys. Now we've got to figure out what we're going to do. Again, my plan is, as long as they're running side by side like they are and really duking it out, my plan is just to be patient and try to get to the inside. Alright, here we go. Looks like we're going to have a really good run on both of these guys coming through turns 1 and 2. Let's try to make the pass in 3 and 4. Alright, drove it in a little bit too hard there. Didn't quite get down to the bottom. But no big deal. That puts us into the top 5. Alright, I don't see a lot of lap traffic if I look out ahead of the cars that are right in front of us. So if these guys are not lap traffic, looks like we've got a while to go before we see any lap traffic. Because I see a lot of clear track, unless they're simply not being drawn on the screen for me right now. But wait till we get out on to the straightaway, particularly coming off turn 2, you can really see it nice. I don't see anybody out there. Alright, get down out here on the bottom a little bit, just to test the waters a little bit, just to see what would happen if I have to use that groove coming up. Alright, so we're halfway through. There we go, halfway home, 21 laps to go. Alright, yeah, so if I'm going to use that bottom groove, I'm going to have to use a little bit more brake or adjust my entry back off a little bit earlier, that kind of thing, in order to run with a lot of speed. The easiest thing to do would simply be to slow it down to run down there, but we don't really want to go slower. Ooh, easy now, 18. We're going to try to get to his outside, and that is exactly what I was afraid of. Oh, goodness. Okay, whatever. Sometimes they give you room, sometimes they don't. He just does not want to give us any room at all. Unfortunately for him, if he continues with that and we weren't able to get by him, I would move him out of the way. As much as I want to race clean, there are some things I will not tolerate from the AI. Alright, we're in the top 5, now in 4th. Let's see if we can continue that move forward to 3rd. Looks like we should be able to clear our teammate Jimmy Johnson right there in turn 2. We do. I'll keep it up here to the high side. For Martin Truex, let's see if we can move into the 2nd spot. Wow, looks like we've got plenty of speed for these guys. Looks like Brad K out there leading. Alright, he's giving me the all clear. Alright, I can see Truex still down at the bottom. We were just in front of him. Now we'll set our sights on the lead. And now we're starting to get into some of that lap traffic. You can see that green car right in front of Brad K. That's the car we started right next to in the race. Oh, and he can't get by the lap car. This is another one of those things they really need to work on. I know that also happens in real life where the leader gets tied up behind lap traffic. In fact, there's been some very notable times when that's happened and cost somebody the lead or indeed the race win. But not quite as often as it happens in the game. Alright, now we're going to see what kind of speed Brad K has got, because now he's going to have the opportunity to run right with us if he's got the speed. Alright, so far he's staying right there in our rearview mirror. Let's see how long that lasts. Woo, watch out. Again, trying to give these guys room. But sometimes they want to take up their room and my room. Again, loving this second or third groove up here. Really like running that. That's when it gets fun. Alright, now we got a group of slower cars. Now this is when you really have no choice but to slow down, unless you want to chance that high side. So I am really slowed down here. Now Brad Keselowski should pull right in on me. And so Joey Gase is going to pull right down to the bottom in front and block me. So we'll go back to the high side now. Alright, now it's Brad K's turn to have fun getting through that mess. If they're running single file, it's fine. But when they're running 2x2 like that, or even getting 3 wide on occasion, that's when it's very hard to pass them. Because you really have to start taking more chances than you really want to take, unless you're willing to be patient. Alright, so under perfect conditions with the setup, you know, if we were running whatever setup we wanted to, you really don't have to lift around this place. You can run it wide open. We're having to lift here because I want to try to keep the car under control. I don't want the car pushing around all over the track. I might be able to come close to running wide open with this setup, but again, the car would move around the track a lot more than I want it to. So it's just not really worth it. At this point, we seem to be way faster than I thought we were going to be in relation to the AI. Oh, why did you do that? Never mind, I know the answer to that. So we'll just keep going. All right, 9 more laps. So this will give us some good data and some good feedback on what we might be looking for in our next race at Vegas, which will also be a 1.5-mile track. So we were much stronger here than, I mean, I thought we would have a chance for a good finish, but I didn't think it would be like this. Just goes to show you just how slow the AI are at some of these tracks. Alright, so how far up through the field are we going to lap? There's 28th right in front of us. I actually remember passing him in the race. Alright, so we've lapped all the way up to 28th. That's not good in this short of a run. Alright, 6 laps to go. And now we'll come up on Landon Castle. So I do not see Brad K in my mirror. I hesitate to pull up the leaderboard, but let's do it. All right, so he's 3.7 seconds behind. And then nobody else is, well, they're around 7 seconds or so behind, so way behind at this point, with Brad K being the only person that's within shouting distance. So if we got really hung up or really crossed up or something like that happened to us, then Brad K could be here fairly quickly. But beyond that, the rest of these guys, it's going to take them a while to get to us, because they are well behind. All right, 4 more trips. All right, so you can see I'm trying to give them an entire third of the racetrack down there on the bottom. And sometimes maybe that's not even enough. All right, 3 more trips. So it seems as though with the setup that we're using this time, again, it's nothing special and could be a lot better. We're still pulling well away from these guys, and that's disappointing. Because my preference would be able to use... Wow, we're going to lap up close to 20th. Yikes. My preference would be to use a setup that actually feels a little bit better, that's so not so extremely tight. But it looks like I'm going to have to go back in that direction. All right, final lap. Alright, just as a test, I lifted off to about 85 to 90% throttle going through that corner. You can see the car sliding up the track some. Alright, let's try to go through here without lifting at all, and yep, no problem. So it's something we could do. That was no issue at all. I'm glad I did not figure that out earlier in the race, because we'd have run even faster and gotten out front even more. So overall, I'm disappointed. Obviously we won, so that's not a disappointing thing, except that I was really hoping we could open up the setup a little bit more and actually have some competition to get to the front, but it turns out we did not have much of any. We were able to breeze through those guys pretty quickly and easily on our way to the front, and then once we got to the front, it was nothing but smooth sailing. You can see there, I mean, we ended up winning the race by over 6, probably close to 7 seconds. Lapped up all the way, basically half the field. Alright, so we'll make some adjustments to the setup based on that, and the science project will continue. So we get another win. This will certainly lock us into the playoffs. So 2 races so far in the season, 2 wins, and that is definitely not how I planned that. Our house is going to get full of trophies very quickly if we keep that up. Alright, fastest lap, not paying any attention to that really. It doesn't make any difference to me. Alright, so we wanted more from that race and did not get it. So we'll move on, make some adjustments, and try them next time at Vegas. Alright, I'm just amazed by the purses in these races, how much money you get whenever you win. I mean, I knew it existed like that, but it's just interesting sometimes whenever you see the actual numbers for how much money you get whenever you win the various races. Just astonishing how much money is handed out on a weekly basis in NASCAR. All right, that'll do it for now. And stay tuned for more NASCAR Heat 2.